But first tonight, an I-Team exclusive now with a twist. For the first time, NBC 10 shows you the lone employee still working for 38 Studios.
You thought they were all gone, didn't you? After all, hundreds of employees were laid off when Curt Schilling's video game company in Providence declared bankruptcy.
But one man stayed behind. More than 2 years later, he's still working. But why? Well, let's find out now. The I-Team's Parker Gavigan sat down with him for a rare interview. Parker's live in Providence at the company's former headquarters. Parker?
Hey, Gene and Patrice. Yeah, we're live outside of 38 Studios' old corporate headquarters here in downtown Providence. 2 years later, the 6 floors of this building still empty and abandoned. But 38 Studios is by no means dead. His fingerprint opens the heavily secured door. A sticky floor mat clears his ostrich leg boots of any dust and debris. This room is full of expensive computer equipment, and in a space of roughly 2 coat closets, Jeff Easley, a systems administrator, is keeping what's left of 38 Studios alive. Out of nearly 400 employees, Easley is the last one to go. So literally the last man standing at 38.
It has been a challenge to wear a lot of hats, had to learn a lot of stuff.
It's been 2 years since 38 Studios collapsed. Employees stopped getting paychecks. The video game company owned by former Red Sox pitcher Curt Schilling went bankrupt.
People were so crushed, they just walked away. And in a lot of cases, there was empty coffee cups, their running shoes were still under their chair, their machines were still logged in. And so the shock value was just tremendous.
While others left, Easley kept coming to work.
It was the most exciting job I've ever had in my entire life. I would have kept coming until they told me you can't come back. Just don't come back to the building.
Although bankrupt, 38 Studios had considerable assets to move out of its corporate headquarters in downtown Providence. Computers, desks, and other equipment sold at 2 public auctions.
At 13, I'm going to go 12 on a 13.
That brought in around $436,000. The intellectual property, though, needed to be maintained and preserved. Easley seemed like a good fit for the job.
The biggest piece, of course, has always been Copernicus.
You're looking at images never publicly seen before of the massive multiplayer video game Copernicus. In 2010, 38 Studios received a $75 million taxpayer-backed loan to not only move to Rhode Island, but finish Copernicus, get it on the market, and make millions. That vision never materialized, and the game is a little more than half complete.
We've got what amounts to, in some respects, a playable game. Does that mean that you can buy a disc and pop it into your computer today and run a game? No.
Providence attorney Rick Land is the state receiver, charged with selling off 38 Studios' assets to satisfy the 7-figure debt carried by the bondholders. He hired Easley for the technical end. Land keeps the company's patents and trademarks viable.
The overall costs haven't been disclosed to the court yet, and I'm not in a position to be specific, but it's in the hundreds of thousands of dollars that it's cost to maintain the system.
After the bankruptcy, Easley says he worked more than 40 hours a week. Now it's down to around 15 hours at this rented space in a Providence data center called prov.net. But with a state lawsuit pending and potential buyers wanting to kick the tires of the 38 Studios property, he's on call.
Despite all the difficulties we've had to go through, it's just been a matter of keeping optimistic, finding the right buyer that had enough intelligence to know what they were getting involved with, and having some kind of a business plan to get this to market.
So what about the costs of maintaining these assets? It's more than $15,000 a month. Is it the equivalent of throwing good money after bad? Well, receiver Rick Land, who you just heard from, tells us that he's aware of the costs, and he's hopeful that any money made from a sale would outweigh those costs. We're live in Providence tonight. I'm I-Team reporter Parker Gavigan, NBC 10 News.
Parker, thanks. If you have a tip for the I-Team, call it in 401-455-9123 or send an email, iteam@wjar.com.